Hi, I'm Nancy Murphy from the Yellow Dot Artist. Today I'm going to show you how to paint a stack of pancakes. So here you start by doing the main shapes. Do a tall rectangle in the middle of the page or the side, whichever is your preference. Now you're going to need to draw an oval at the bottom of the page. So to do that easily, draw 4 little lines and then connect the lines to make it kind of a rectangle shape, but then draw the corners rounded like this, and you get an oval. Then go in and erase the extra lines because you won't need them. We'll be painting over them, so it doesn't have to be perfect. And as you can see, my eraser is not working very well. Then you want to mark the different layers where you want the additional pancakes to go. I'm kind of marking it out to make the line even. And just follow that curved line. So here I realized I forgot to do the second oval at the top, which is the top pancake. You do the same process by doing the rectangle and then rounding the corners. Though I realized, stepping back, that my pancakes were kind of looking more like a cone. So I'm using my ruler to straighten it out a little bit. And still the angle of the camera makes it look kind of cone-ish. I like to turn it upside down to give myself a fresh perspective, and it helps me to see where the lines don't look right. Okay, so I'm back on track and I'm drawing the lines where I want the layers of the pancakes to go. So you just follow the curved line from underneath. It doesn't have to be perfect because no stack of pancakes are perfect. And you draw the rounded sides because the edges of a pancake are rounded. And then I find it easier just to turn the canvas upside down and do the curved lines. And here I'm adding the rounded edges again. Okay, I'm going to tone the canvas with burnt sienna. And all that means is you put a very thin layer of paint mixed with water or some kind of a medium to thin it out so it's paper, or so that it's water thin. And you want to cover every inch of the canvas to get rid of all of the white. Now take a wide flat brush and just cover it randomly. It doesn't matter the direction you go. The whole point is to cover it with color. So it doesn't matter what it looks like at this point. Okay, now we're going to start the underpainting. And to do that, you want to mark out, or kind of erase the lightest lights and put in the darkest darks. So here I'm using a scrubber brush. It's a very firm brush to scrub out the paint because it dried faster than I thought it was going to. But there you see all the highlighted areas. Now I'm going to go in with burnt umber and raw sienna and just a little round brush and just roughly add in the dark shadowed area. And don't do it in a completely straight line because it'll look too harsh. You just kind of want to, just blend it in there, just kind of rub it in on each of the layers. And this is just the underpainting, so that it's almost like a coloring book at this point. You're drawing the coloring page for you to paint later. Using a white brush, you want to go in and add where you're going to be coloring or painting in the shadow. And this is just the first layer, so it doesn't matter what it looks like. Now we're going to do the base layer for the pancake. So you mix these paint colors together, about equal amounts, blend them together. I added a little more of the unbleached titanium to make it lighter. I have two different piles now. So I like to use this flat brush. It's an angled brush, but you can also use a flat one. And just go in and mark wherever the pancake itself goes. So don't do the shadowed or the burnt areas, just do the whitish areas from the underpainting. And just a thin layer, and just kind of do it roughly because a pancake is not smooth. An egg white is smooth, but a pancake is not. So you can leave some of the underpainting colors showing through if you'd like. It just adds a little more variety. Here I'm just adding in the curved parts of the pancake. Now I'm going to add a little more of the unbleached titanium to the lightest pancake base. And I'm going to use that and put it in the highlighted areas that you can see in the reference photo. That's where the light is shining and brightest on the pancake. So that's on the left-hand side, kind of moving toward the middle of the pancake stack. And again, just irregular, letting the colors from underneath poke through. And with the lighter color, I'm also putting a little bit on the top of the pancake because there's more light on there. So now the very lightest light, I'm using the unbleached titanium and a smaller brush, a small rounded brush, and just kind of putting it on very roughly. And if you notice, I'm brushing in a circular motion to go with the circle of a pancake, the shape of one. And I'm leaving some of the darker paint showing around the butter because there's going to be a shadow cast from that tiny stack of butter. Now I'm going to add the raw umber to the darker side of the paint that you used for the shadow. And I'm going to apply it to the right-hand side of the pancake, and that's the furthest away from the light, so it's cast a little bit darker. And I'm blending it into the color next to it. And if it dries or gets a little bit dark in some areas like you see I have, I'm trying to blend it out so it isn't so harsh. So now I need to get a middle shade, so I'm mixing the two colors on the palette together to blend in there because it's not a very soft line. And if you notice, shadows are very gradual, so that's what I'm trying to do here. And sometimes it takes reworking, going between the two, sometimes the three different colors to blend them. Painting usually isn't just applying one color and you're done with that area and moving on. Instead, it takes multiple layers and applying it differently. This is my little precious baby love bug coming to check out the painting and chew on my brushes for a little bit. That's his favorite brush. So now I'm just kind of reinforcing above and below the dark line with a medium shade, because usually the transition again isn't from darkest dark to lightest light. It's a middle shade that goes in that transition. You want to apply the paint roughly instead of just a solid straight line. Just kind of rub it in irregularly. You want to apply the paint color to the butter. And butter, if you look at it, is a very light color usually. So I'm putting the all over color on the side, both sides I have the burnt sienna. Now I'm going to take the solid white and I'm going to put a strip of it at the very base, the front of the pancake, and on the top, well, not the pancake, on the butter, where the lightest light hits it. I'm kind of reworking the shape of my butter. This is the time in the painting to do it before you start applying a lot more paint. I think I'm happy with that. Now I want to add more of an all-over brown. So I'm going to mix the three colors along with some red to get more of like a kind of a toasty brown. And to bring consistency to the whole painting, I'm going to apply it just sporadically, different areas on top and then throughout the painting. There are some areas that I haven't really applied any paint other when I toned the canvas. So you see I'm just adding it on the line, above the line, on each layer, just to add that nice consistent brown look throughout. Okay, I'm adding the edge of a table across, and it doesn't look like it's going straight, so I'm using my ruler, line it up with the edge. That way it's nice and straight. A very important rule when you're starting out painting is it's very easy to do really hard lines. That's just straight lines that aren't fuzzy at all. So even if you have to slightly dampen your brush, go back and soften those lines. Okay, we're going to work on the background now. You have an option. You can do these three colors and fill the entire background, every inch of it, without variation, or you can make variations of this color by adding any of those three colors, or adding black as well. So there's going to be one mix that I add. The second one is going to have yellow ochre and some cadmium yellow. See the different shade? Here, add even a little more ochre to that, and some of the red. This is the third shade I'm going to add, and it's the darkest, so I'm filling it in the shadow area. And it's not a black, it's a very dark color, but not black, so it's not quite as harsh. So now you want to take the second color that you mix, the second darkest, and blend it along those harsh lines to soften them, so it's a smoother transition on both sides. And I kind of changed my mind about the horizontal line because it is a beginning painting tutorial, so I'm going above the horizontal line and just getting rid of it. So I'm taking the third shade and just blending that in. And again, you can add any of these colors that we've used throughout the painting to mix in as a background color, because it's going to be consistent since it's the same shades you've been using. So I'm making that side of the painting darker because that's where the light is furthest away. And now I'm going to take in some unbleached titanium and mix that in because that's where the lightest light is. And I'm kind of smearing it across because I'm showing that those are some of the light rays coming through, spreading across the table. And just blend it. It's easy if you leave your canvas flat to do this, but for demonstration purposes, I'm holding it up. Now that you've added all that, go back and just do some touch-up work in areas that don't quite look right to you, or that you want to emphasize or change. Then all you have to do is sign it, and you're done. Here's the finished painting. I want to thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe and like the video, and head over to my website, yellow.artist.com.